I am Sarai. Let me explain. Back in Genesis, Abraham's wife Sarah, and her name was eventually changed to Sarai, but Abraham and Sarah got very old. But God promised Abraham that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. And so he promises this to Jacob, but Jacob gets very old, so does Sarah. And even though he promised to give them, offspring, they didn't believe it. So Sarah went many, many years. They were very, very old. And because so many years had passed in them waiting for this child, they decided to shortcut the process. And so Sarah had Abraham sleep with her maidservant, Hagar. And Hagar does get pregnant and has a son, Ishmael. But after she gets pregnant and has the child, Sarah starts to mistreat her. And so they send her away. And I think that this is because initially what they wanted was they wanted the child, but they weren't trusting God's promise or timing. And so because of that, they shortcut the process. They shortcut, waiting for God's promise to be fulfilled. And they try to take it in their own hands. And because of this, God tells Hagar he still will bless her, but he still won't be one of, the main tribes eventually. So, they tried to shortcut the process. They didn't want to wait for God to fulfill his promise. And I think that, Sarah afterwards hated Hagar because she did get pregnant. So it's like, it's initially what Sarah thought she wanted, right? She shortcuts the process. Hagar gets pregnant and has a child. And then I think that Sarah hates her because she did, right? Because she did get pregnant and have a child. And so then she, resents her. So the thing that Sarah thought she wanted wasn't the thing that she wanted. She did, after all, want to have her own child. But she thought by shortcutting the process and taking things into her own hands, that would bring her fulfillment. That would give her that desired result. Because as humans, we don't like to wait for things. Now I understand, we live in a very instant gratification world nowadays. Very, now kind of society. But even back then, I'm sure people still struggle with waiting. Now, the waiting for that was much longer, right? Years and years and years. But at the same time, they still, God spoke to Abraham and said, I will fulfill this promise. And they didn't trust in his timing. Well, if you fast forward past Isaac to Jacob, so Abraham's grandson, Jacob is the deceiver, right? That's what his name means. He's born, he runs away after him and Esau. Esau says he's going to kill him. Jacob runs away and he goes to his mother's brother, I believe, Laban. And he wants his youngest daughter to marry. He wants to marry Laban's younger daughter, Rebecca. And Laban says, okay, yeah, work for me. You can have her. So, Jacob puts in the time. He goes to marry Rebecca. Laban tricks him and gives him Leah because it's late at night and there's a lot of wine involved. So because Jacob sleeps with Leah, he's now married to her. And he is obviously very distraught because he didn't want Leah. He wanted Rebecca. And Laban tells him, all right, fine, work 7 more years. You can have Rebecca too. But he does give him Rebecca, up front. And Jacob agrees to work the time. Well, Rebecca is barren. And even though Jacob loves Rebecca, he absolutely loves Rebecca, she is barren. And so, Leah, he sleeps with Leah. Leah gets pregnant. And Rebecca's jealous. And so then Rebecca tells Jacob to sleep with her maidservant. And Jacob does. And he gets her pregnant. Well, then Leah's jealous. And Leah has him sleep with her maidservant. And he does. She gets pregnant. And it's not for a long time before eventually Rebecca does get pregnant and have a child. But Rebecca's barren for a very long time. And once again, we see the same thing happen, where Rebecca does not want to wait or trust that God will give her a child. She wants to take it into her own hands because she's barren. And it takes a long time for God to basically open her womb for her to have a child. But once again, she and Jacob, I'm not saying she's the only guilty one here, just as Abraham and Sarah were both guilty because Abraham did it. Jacob is also guilty, So, but it's the same story played out, that they didn't want to wait on God's timing. They didn't trust that God was going to fulfill his promises. He wasn't going to come through for them. And the whole point of these stories is to convey that that's where I'm at right now in life. I am struggling with not taking things into my own hands. It is something I've probably struggled with for a long time, and particularly with video creation, videos, being creative. I have always not been patient in this area, where I trust that the right people are going to see the videos, or that the right people are going to see my books or my paintings or whatever. And I'm not making this video to complain. I'm making it to share a real struggle that I'm dealing with, that I tend to take things into my own hands. It's like I say that I trust God. I say that, I want God to be in everything, that I want God to, to provide for me, and that I trust him with meeting my needs, with being there for me, in whatever capacity that is. It's like I say those things on the surface, but then I'm still also trying to force results to happen. So right now, the biggest thing for me is YouTube. Like, I've been so discouraged that the videos are not getting any views, and I'm sure it's my fault. Because I was getting low views, I promoted the videos through a service, and the problem with doing that is that if you promote your videos to a service, you might get the views, but they're not from people who actually care about your content, right? You might get the views, but it's just getting views. It's not getting people to subscribe that actually want to watch your content. So on the surface, it looks good because the views are going up. It looks like you're getting that desired result. But the truth is I'm not trusting that God is going to put my videos in front of the people that need to see them. I'm trying to take it into my own hands and force this to work out, force it to take off. Because I think deep down, ultimately, that's what I want. I want the channel to explode and to grow, and for people to see it. I do want people to be blessed, but really, I think that it is an idol to me. And I've always struggled with that, with making the things that I create the idols in my life. I don't know why I deal with it, but I do. So that's where I'm at right now. I am trying to humble myself, but I'm not quite there yet, to be honest. Like, I want to let go, and I want to, let go and let God, but I'm just not there yet. I know that I'm not, and I know that I should, right? Mentally, I know I should let go, but I'm just not there yet. But anyway, I think that I'm just sharing this video in hopes that somebody will see it and recognize maybe they're doing it in their own life, that they too are trying to force things to happen. And it's like, no matter how much I try to force it, like I try to make different channels, I try to make different content, I try to make, I try to be better and better and better with the videos. I invested in more microphones. I got better lighting. I tried to record in different locations. And this is why sometimes I'm recording in my car and my garage and, all these different places, because I would just want to make it work. And I think that there is something to be said about putting in the work, putting in effort to make something work. I think you do have to stick with things a long time. But therein lies the problem, because I don't think I want to do that. I feel like I've been doing this for so long that I should have seen results by now. In fact, if we boil it down, it comes to the sense of entitlement. It comes down to a sense of selfishness. I feel like I deserve to be successful. But the truth is one, the world doesn't owe us anything. God doesn't owe us anything. We are the creation, not the creator. So we technically don't deserve anything. We have life. So we have a life. Like, God gave us life. Like, what else more do we need? Right? We have God and we have life. The two greatest things that we could ever have is salvation and the life that God gave us to enjoy before eternity. So we already have the two greatest gifts you could ever have. But on top of that, yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. I feel bad. But it does come down to entitlement and selfishness. And I think that's where I'm at. I just feel entitled. And again, I'm not proud of it. I'm only sharing it to be honest and to maybe point it out so that other people might recognize it in themselves, that no matter how hard you try, you're putting so much time and effort into that thing that you're not focusing on God. Every time I get obsessed with trying to make something work, I lose sight of God. Like, God is still there. I still praise Him and I still pray sometimes. I still read my Bible sometimes. But then this thing becomes the focus and not God. So, yeah, I think I need to stop all the projects. I think I can still do this because this is humbling. Only getting 4 views on a video is very humbling, And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that anyone would see this. And I thank any person that does see it and sticks through it. But yeah, I think God is telling me that I've taken my focus off of Him and put it on these other things. And I just don't want to see that. But that's about it. Same.